What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Video Game Bang, #1 geek and gaming podcast here in Sacramento, California. We are live for a new episode for you guys, and we have a jam-packed one ready to go. With me, I have the one and only EmmaSkies.
I don't even remember what we're doing anymore. What is a podcast? What are we talking about? Life has not existed for the last 20 minutes. I don't understand what's going on.
We also have, from the Filmlosophers on the CW, Eddie.
That joke still at the third time doesn't still ring funny for me. This is the third time we've started this damn podcast, and we're still trying to figure out all the kinks.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. This is the first time doing this, and I am so happy to be doing this.
You full of shit.
If you noticed, which you probably didn't, but in case you did, I am not Corey. Corey is pitching for the Oakland A's tonight.
And this joke wasn't funny the second time.
You tripped over it.
And
it's okay though. You're doing okay.
You guys are breaking the immersion.
The immersion?
Yep.
What immersion?
Yeah. You mean immersion?
How you guys doing? If you are not tuning into us live on twitch.tv/videogame_bang, you are missing out. You guys get to see
technical
some
difficulties
if you were here. And if you are watching us on twitch.tv/videogame_bang and you have not yet subscribed to our podcast, make sure to do that. It is on every podcast app, website, channel, bamboozle you can think of.
Bamboozle.
I'm not going to name all the ones that Corey does.
Is that a place where you can get the episodes? Okay. I've never heard of Bamboozle. But
It's Poddoozle.
Poddoozle. Okay.
Yeah.
Corey likes to make up fake podcast websites, and Webb's trying to do it, and it's not good.
No, I'm not trying to make no. I'm positive I'm not trying to make them up because he makes up some sketchy sounding ones. Eddie.
Yo.
Did you go to CrockerCon?
I did go to CrockerCon.
How was CrockerCon?
It was actually really good. There was an opportunity where I actually let Corey know they actually used the ending music for this show in one of their mixes that they were doing. So that was actually pretty cool because when I was walking in, I heard that little piano jazz thing that you guys usually have when you close out the show.
Yeah.
And they were using that in a mix with the DJs and all that. So.
Oh, you know what? Was it?
I have no clue if it's your friend. I was thinking about it. I'm like, wonder if it's that guy that recognized Webb last time.
Do you have a beard? DJ Nocturnal?
I don't know, Webb. I
think it was. It was probably him. He wasn't
my type. So
Webb's going to choose to believe it was him.
Shout out to DJ Nocturnal for using our closing.
If that was him.
If it was him, which it probably was.
But it was good. They had they didn't have as much stuff as they had when we went that one time. Mm-hmm. Was that a year ago?
It was a year ago.
It was a year ago where you, myself, and Aaron did a trivia type of event, fun thing with Oblivion Comics and Coffee.
Got thoroughly handed.
You did. In fact, Emma, I don't know if you know this, but these guys could not answer a video game question that I was able to answer.
Wow.
And I gained substantial video game cred.
Wow.
From that.
And a year ago, he's still hanging on to that.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean,
you hang on to that.
Thank you.
That is yours. They can't take that away from you.
That's true. So,
podcast gods.
But they didn't have as many podcasts as they had last year here.
Yeah, I heard that they were going to do things a little bit differently this year.
It was very minimal.
Okay.
They had a larger stage, but it was more for performances, like music. There was supposed to be a couple of podcasts that were going to stream, and I guess they didn't get what they were asking for and got pushed over to the side, so they had to make it work where they were at. There was a group that did a podcast out in the courtyard area on the other side. It was interesting. All in all, it was a fun time. A lot of cosplay, a lot of individuals who had never gone before, who had heard about it, showed up for their first time here.
Yeah.
I think that next year they need to step it up, though, a little bit more, because if it's the same as this year, I don't think people are going to want to pay $20 full price for that.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was $20 to get in. Thankfully, I didn't have to pay, so it's all good.
So overall, not only the podcast section, but overall, it was
lacking.
Less than last year.
It was definitely lacking.
Last year was really cool how they had the stage for the podcasts.
Yeah.
Did anybody do like spoken word?
Nope.
This year?
Nope.
So say you could sneak a podcast in through spoken word.
No, 100%. You could probably have done that. There wasn't even, I don't know if you remember, in the courtyard across from that like walkway, you know how there was like that small stage where there was
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they did podcasts over there.
They didn't have that. It was just a bunch of tables and chairs on one side with games and like board games and stuff like that on there, all promoted by the Sack Geeks Club or whatever they may be. I don't know.
Huh.
Yeah. And they had some smaller things on the left-hand side, but nothing too... It wasn't as full with other vendors and shows as it was last year. So, yeah.
Interesting. Well, Crocker Khan, if you're listening, you know what changes to make next year to please Filmlosopher Eddie. Oh! I'm not going to try and pick it.
Wow.
We're playing What You Playing, guys. What You Playing.
Look at Emma. Emma's just like,
My goal tonight is to see how many times I can make Emma make a cringe face.
Ooh, all right. Let's keep tally.
So far,
Let's go for that.
it's a lot.
it is, yeah.
Eddie, let's start with you. What are you playing these days?
Well, I am playing currently, actually I haven't been playing much lately. I'm still literally going back through doing all the DLC stuff for Arkham City, sorry. Because the pack that I got came with everything. So it has the Catwoman DLC, it has the Robin DLC, and I finished the game already at 100, and I'm going through all that and clearing out house and all that stuff too. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Keeps my time occupied, and hey, what can you do?
Nice.
Did you get like a definitive edition of the game, or did you get the Return to Arkham pack?
It was the Return to Arkham pack, the I guess deluxe or ultimate one.
Okay.
It was like, normally it's like $20, and this one was like $35.
Okay.
But it came with all that stuff.
Yeah, because I have Return to Arkham, and I think I got something with it, but I didn't realize that it had like a bunch of DLC. Because I've been meaning to go back and play all of them.
Oh yeah, no, it's got everything. So it was cool.
Emma, I already know the answer. What you been playing?
Well, I just finished Tomb Raider.
Oh,
I just finished Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
How was it? Ooh, snap.
Okay, so remember, for those of you that listened to the prior shows, I'd been talking about, especially last show, how I didn't feel like I was far enough into the game to really say much about it, because where I was, I felt like there was not enough combat. I felt like the story hadn't ramped up enough, because I was only at 56% of the game.
Okay. Wait, that was like the second day it came out, and you were at 56% of the game.
Yeah.
Holy
So so that was that. So I picked that up when I beat the game. I was at 65%. So it was only 11% later that I beat the story mode. So I was practically done. So I was well into the climax of the story at that point. And I felt like I was too early in the game to know enough.
Oof.
So the game felt short. I beat the story missions, or the story mode, start to finish in about 14 hours, which is pretty short,
sparse.
Especially compared to the first two games.
How long were the first? I know the first one was.
The first one was probably, I'd put it about like
30-ish.
No, not necessarily. I mean, if you're 100% in the game, maybe. But I mean, to beat the story of the first one, it would probably have been like 15 hours. I feel like, for me at least.
Really? Okay.
But that was the first one. Rise was significantly longer. Rise, I spent like 40 hours in that game, and then I did this one, and now I'm like, I don't know about it. I'm a little. It's at the bottom of the pile for me. Of all three, Rise is at the top. The first one is under that, and then Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
So, aside from it being really short, was the story good?
Really? The
Really?
story felt very shallow. We were actually talking about this in my stream as well. As like, the first game took place entirely on that island, but it felt so much bigger than this game. And Shadow of the Tomb Raider takes you to like different countries and shit, but like the story feels very small. It feels almost shallow.
Do you think they leaned too much on like the puzzle aspect? Like
No, I think they leaned not enough on the puzzle aspect.
No, I mean like, sorry, let me rephrase that. Like the end game puzzles, like leaning on the fact that you're gonna go back and do all the puzzles, and that's like 50% of the game is the story, 50% of the game is like tombs and puzzles.
Yeah, that's a little. Yeah, I beat the story mission at 65% completion for the whole game. I was like, where is the rest? And it's like, it's not like I was ignoring everything else along the way. You know, it was, I don't know. I'm a little disappointed. It was still enjoyable. If you liked the first two games, you will enjoy this one as far as the controls and things. But, I mean, maybe wait until it goes on sale. Which is very hurtful for me to say.
It is.
I was so excited. I was so happy. I was so excited we were getting another Tomb Raider game. And I was vaguely worried that a different developer was doing it.
That's right.
Yeah, this wasn't Crystal Dynamics. It's Eidos Montreal. In association with Crystal Dynamics.
That means Crystal Dynamics did not touch it at
Yep.
all.
Yep.
Okay.
It's very.
Damn, that's right. I
yeah.
forgot about that. Okay.
So on that downer, what have you been playing?
Well,
I've
been playing Spider-Man.
Yes.
I've been working on 100%ing it.
So you drank the Kool-Aid is what I'm hearing.
Oh, I drank it
Okay.
so hard.
You should drink it.
You drank it so hard.
Yeah.
Is that yeah?
I did shots of it.
Yeah.
He did Jello shots even.
Jello shots of it.
I was gonna say I got flashbacks from Jack Black. You know, you swallow the gravy and you know just.
I don't like gravy. It was so okay. So I think the last show I talked about how I finally beat the actual story mode.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm going back and I'm doing all the side stuff. I finished the backpacks, finished the landmarks. I am kind of just going around and like doing a couple of the challenges, and then I'll go and do a couple of the crimes, and then I'm avoiding the research missions because those are kind of my least favorite. But you and Corey were in our Facebook chat, and you guys were competing for 100%.
Oh, it wasn't a competition. It was never a competition. Excuse you. There was a competition implies that he had a chance to beat me.
Oh. Wow.
There was not a competition. We
Damn.
happened to be heading toward the same goal.
Okay, that's a better phrasing. Heading towards the same goal. You guys went all out. Like,
Yeah.
you guys did every little thing you could do.
Let's be clear here. You guys is a little. Let's be clear here. So
Sorry.
100%.
You people. Is that better too?
No, not even
Wow.
that. I just mean
Okay.
that you're saying Corey and I did the same thing. Corey and I didn't do the same
I
thing.
want to make sure I'm inclusive.
So
okay?
100% completion of the game.
Yeah.
100% of the PlayStation trophies. Every single secret photo location. I perfected every challenge score, which Corey didn't do. I was playing on the hardest difficulty, which Corey wasn't doing, and I did it faster than him. Boom.
Mic drop.
I'm not gonna lie, I have to be this smug about it, and I have to be this confident about it, because I need a reason that I put all these hours in.
No, I mean,
if
it
I'm not this
justifies
smug
it.
about it,
No.
I'm just sad about how many hours I
It totally
spent.
justifies it. I mean,
So,
hey.
so here's the big question.
He's got a big question.
Big question. So you finished the game. You've
Yes.
done all the challenges.
Yes.
You've done all the things.
Yes.
Going back into it, is it just swinging around New York taking pictures now?
If I went back into it, yeah, it would just be, because crimes still pop up. So I could still, like, if I just really wanted to fight some guys, you can still go back and crimes will pop up as you're swinging around. You can go back and do challenges that you've already done, although I perfected them, so I wouldn't.
So it's
You can
essentially
go back.
Arkham City for Spider-Man.
Yes.
Great.
No,
yeah, you
it's-
can go
it
back
really
and do the
is.
warehouses.
Okay, so you basically could just go back and redo challenges and stuff like that, or
Yeah.
just fight random crimes that pop up.
Right.
So it actually just sounds like Arkham.
It really
City.
is.
Just for Spider-Man,
Like,
essentially.
like right down to the point of, you remember when you're, like, around Arkham City and there's, like, snipers on the rooftops?
Oh, yeah.
And that's in this game.
There you go.
Which I was like, this is 100% Arkham City. This is the exact... You're driving or you're swinging around and crimes pop up just
Yeah.
like Arkham City.
There you go.
I was like, okay.
There you
It
go.
worked for them.
Well, sounds like it's a game that everybody already beat a few years ago.
You know what?
It's fantastic, though.
It honestly is, but it looks so pretty.
It's so good.
And there's nothing wrong with the Arkham games, so...
That was what I was saying. I was
think
like, it's
fine.
super similar to Arkham, but Arkham was really good.
Yeah.
So I'm not mad about it.
It was my
yeah.
favorite combat system, and I've said this before, like, it just makes so much... Like, it looks so much better on Spider-Man, in my opinion, just because Spider-Man, that's kind of his combat. But, yeah, I mean, like, jumping over people, and, like, you know, if you do, like, a perfect dodge, then as you're dodging out of the way of a bullet, you're shooting them in the face with webs, and it's a really fun combat system.
Interesting. Very nice. Very cool. Very lovely.
Oh, don't do it. He's not here. You don't have to do it.
I feel like it's time.
You don't have to do this,
You
Webb.
ever seen a toddler try to swim? Just one of those moments where
Emma's telling the
and
news.
he's singing.
Ooh.
Like,
I nailed that.
We
I
gotta
nailed
get you
it.
a pitch pipe.
I
We
nailed
gotta
it.
get you a pitch pipe for that.
get him a pipe and send him out. It's okay.
Emma, what do we have on the docket tonight?
All right, so the first thing, the best thing that we're going to talk about, the
Joker
most
movie?
important thing we're going to talk. You shut your mouth. How dare you? Captain Marvel trailer came out on Tuesday.
That it did.
It did indeed. And I feel like we should start with you, Eddie, as I think you are the most knowledgeable on Captain Marvel here.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Coming from you, that means a lot.
Oh, thank you. I don't know anything about Captain Marvel. So.
No, but you are a fellow comic book nerd, and you don't get your information from other people's YouTube channels and work. And
You can't hear it, but we're both looking at Webb.
Excuse me. Number one, I read comics. B, I believe you're talking about a certain other person that was on the show that would get all of his information from the YouTube channel.
Anyway, what do you think of the Captain Marvel trailer?
So, it looks really great. I mean, one of the great things that you have to admire about this particular story is how much anticipation is behind this. Not just in the character of who it is, but the fact that we finally get a freaking female superhero film.
Took us 21 movies, but we got there.
Exactly. This film is the culmination of everybody's crying and screaming and yelling and wanting this to happen finally for any of the pre-existing superheroes that are currently in the universe. And now that we got to the point to where like, oh, maybe this would make sense, even though we've had several opportunities prior to. I mean, now with the introduction of Black Panther and Okoye and Shuri, and you know, with them being already badass, and you wanting to see them like, oh, let's see them do their own thing. Now we're finally at a point where like, okay, I honestly believed if Marvel had done one more movie that didn't have a female protagonist or focus, I think people would have revolted. In all honesty,
I mean, I feel like that's how we felt 10 movies ago.
Yeah, and I don't know if this feels like a cop out to me, but in my mind, the anticipation for this, the fact that Kevin Feige has to come out and say, "Oh, by the way, she's going to be the most OP character in all of the MCU." So I'm like, you know, she doesn't have to be the most OP. She could be like, oh, I don't know, Black Widow, who's just really awesome and can fight just about anybody. Or she could be Okoye, who's the leader of... There's so many other people who don't have to be super OP to have their own film.
Oh, I see it. You're like, not that Carol has to be that person, but
Yeah.
their first protagonist could be that person.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It didn't have to be that focused. Like, I kind of saw that as like, oh, no. We're going to take care of it. We're going to get that. And she's going to be more powerful than the Hulk and Thor and probably Thanos. Who knows? But it's like... Yeah, you're...
Because, I mean, that's the only reason to give a woman a movie, right? If she's not the
Apparently.
best, why do we care? We know what? We're not going to get into it. It's fine.
Well,
anyway.
No, but that's a conversation that, like, seriously, I've been dying to kind of figure out a way to approach it, because I know people who have been following this storyline going on in terms of them creating this film. I know somebody who has been in close contact with Brie Larson and talking about how this has been something that's been in the works for a long time, and how Brie Larson has just been pulling like crazy to make sure that this film does not do what all other previous films do. It doesn't sexualize the character, over-sexualize the character. It doesn't allow this person to still have a, you know, white knight type of thing. It doesn't have it doesn't have a redirect. She pulled for so much of that, and you have to applaud what Brie Larson has put into this, not just as an actress, but even as an advocate for, you know, just female empowerment and wanting to see that come to the front of the line and the big screen. So I say all that to say she's going to be great. The film's going to be great. From what I've seen so far, it looks like they are seriously going to do so much fan favorite parts of comic history that, if you're aware of, like the Secret Invasion storyline, that has been talked about for the entire time.
10 years.
Like, seriously, since this whole thing has been starting, everyone was like, this would be so great if Secret Invasion would come in. But then everybody was like, oh, but then they're talking about mutants, they're going to be doing this. So you can't bring in everybody because it's just the Avengers, and you got to have the X-Men and all this snap. They're doing it.
Yep.
And, you know, I'm excited to see it.
Are they doing it, though? I mean, we don't know for sure they're doing Secret Wars,
David,
but they're leaning towards
They
it.
literally have Skrulls coming in and
infiltrating
shape-shifting.
S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
Like, you know that Ben Mendelsohn's character is a Skrull.
Yeah.
He's
Because they tell
Talos.
you that
Yeah.
straight up, which I really wish. That's the other thing. Like, we were talking about this when the pictures came out. Like, they're telling you so much up front that I just didn't need to know. Like, they're telling you
it's
that Ben
true.
Mendelsohn is playing this guy, and oh, by the way, he's a Skrull. He's not. He thinks it's like, let that be in the movie.
Yeah.
Let
Yeah.
that be a reveal.
But here's the reason why I am hesitant to get excited that they're going down that storyline, because we are technically nearing the end of this iteration of the MCU.
True.
So I think if anything, they would maybe like hint at it, or it would maybe be a small part of this movie, or maybe it would even lead into the last Avengers. But I feel like we're so close to the end for them to start a new story arc that...
But then that's been the plan all this time. Like Kevin Feige has said, they've got so many years down the road of planning and preparation already in play that they already have phase 5 and 6 already charted out. So this right here is just the beginning of a whole new chapter.
So they're planting the roots now, and then after the Thanos story arc is over.
Yeah, they've already said that Captain Marvel is taking up that
into...
mantle of Captain America. She's already going to be that role. They've already stated it. They've already said it. It's in stone. She is going to take that role, which, oddly enough, it's what everybody else expected. I mean, you know, you already know, Chris Evans is done. And
right.
He's going to, whether or not if that's a hiatus or a full break, who knows. But he's done with his role. Robert Downey Jr. is at that same place. He's done. Whether or not he'll return to it, that's on him. There's a lot of individuals who are exiting this that you need to fill with as much charisma and as much presence as you can. And what better way to do that than with somebody like Captain Marvel? Captain Marvel has been a substantial character throughout the comic book history ever since her first introduction to into the late 70s, early 80s with the mar-vel storyline. And you see how that story has progressed from her being this woman literally just wearing a scarf and boots to actually having a full-fledged uniform in the late 90s, early 2000s, and seeing her really come into her own as a great superhero, as an incredibly powerful superhero. So seeing how much she's had an iteration in not only the Avengers, but even in the X-Men and other superhero groups, this is going to open the door for whatever that merger that everybody's anticipating with Fox and Disney. This is going to open the door for that to begin starting to leak into.
I could see that.
We talked about it. Actually, we had a bonus episode yesterday where we talked about the trailer. And one of the things that we were talking about is, although it may not happen, the likeliness of this beginning to start showing signs of what is to come in terms of the X-Men coming in and, the storylines that they could start branching into that. I mean, now that Disney's coming in, they're going to be bringing in Fantastic Four. I mean, we're going to finally get a great Fantastic Four film. We're going to see the Marvel First Family finally done well. And a lot of these things can start leaking into the stories, and they can start establishing that, hey, this is what we're doing. We're going to start moving in this direction.
What do you think, Emma?
I'm excited.
Yeah?
I don't have a lot of the backstory, so I'm kind of going into this. I know bits and pieces about Captain Marvel, but everything I know is from friends of mine who love Captain Marvel for the most part, and it's, things that you pick up just being part of geek culture. So I'm going into this very much like
a fan.
A fan.
A fan of the MCU.
Right. As very much a Marvel fan, but I get to see this story for the first time. I'm not going in with expectations of I want to see, this storyline, I want to see this storyline. I'm going in and I just get to experience this for the first time.
Yeah.
And I'm freaking excited.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. And I'm really excited that at 21 movies in, I get to see a female lead an MCU movie.
Yeah.
That is worth being excited about, and that is worth getting hyped for.
100%. I mean, you look at what they're doing with this film. One of the great things that they're doing with this particular film is the same thing they did with Black Panther, and that is they're negating the use of having to create a origin story for their main character. They're not going to go back and be like, oh,
right.
by the way, this is and this and that, and she started out as a child this way. Those are glimpses. Those are little thoughts and
Flashbacks.
memories. They're not actual visitations that we're going to do in the scenes. Much like Black Panther, we didn't go back to how he became to realize that his dad was Black Panther. Oh my gosh, I'm going to take the mantle now and blah blah blah.
Right.
We didn't get all that garbage.
He was already who he was when we started.
Exactly, and we got to see the journey of that character from that point on, moving into his surroundings, his life. Same thing here. She's already powerful when she lands on Earth. She already is a superhero. Now this is her finding her place in the universe. Not so much as her realizing her ability or her full ability.
Because she's on what? It's Star Force, right?
She's on the Star Force.
So she knows her ability. She knows what she's capable of doing.
She's already a part of the galactic,
police,
Navy SEALs, if you will. I mean, they're like the best
SEAL
of
Team
the best.
6
Yeah.
is one analogy I heard.
So they are going in an interesting direction because as far as I know, the amnesia direction that they're going that you see in the trailer, that's not necessarily a thing in the comics, is it?
No. It's not. It's a new spin on it, but it's the best way to go about it without having to actually give a backstory. Because what you do is you create an excuse for her to revisit memories. It's not
okay.
It's not
That's
her.
fair.
It's not her having to be like, oh, we got to go back 20 years ago, and you see her doing this and that, and realizing it's in the moment where she begins to regain those memories, we as the audience are a part of that, and we see that, and we are joined in recognizing that these memories are actually stuff that built who she is. Because that's the whole point of the film. She doesn't know who she was prior to Star Force, but as she's on Earth and she sees glimpses and she's beginning to realize that her and this is my hypothesis, that at the point where she realizes the power that she has doesn't just come from the Star Force team and what she went through there and her integration. It's coming from her ability to withstand and persevere.
Okay.
Because that's what I got through the trailer. Because oh my gosh, that trailer has so much going for it. Like, I kid you not, I got chills when you see that title screen where it says her.
Yes, and then it says
a hero.
Oh,
and I'm like,
God, I almost cried.
That is such a powerful statement to make to show people, to help people realize that she can be a hero, as in any other female. Her can be a hero, and that is going to resonate with so many people. I am not surprised. We were just talking about this before we went on live, that we were looking at the numbers, and the trailer's already got, what, 24 million?
109 million.
109 million views
Holy
in the last
crap.
24 hours. 109 million views. And I'm sure every single person who wanted to see it, who went in for the right reasons, obviously, realized that same thing, that this movie is going to change the face of how Marvel will continue to do female superheroes from here on out.
I'm excited because I remember, so I'm thinking, when I'm watching this trailer and I'm thinking about how we're getting the first female Marvel superhero, I'm remembering the first night I went to see Wonder Woman. I saw it on opening night at like 7 p.m. Fantastic movie. I cried. It was beautiful. I was so happy. But as I was walking in my car, there was a little girl in the parking lot that was dressed up as Wonder Woman, and she's like punching and kicking, and she's like so excited. And I was just like, oh, she gets to grow up with this kind of stuff that we didn't really get.
Where was it at? Where's it? Lost Sheep. I don't know if they're gonna do that where they bring her. So, if you guys don't know, Carol Danvers, who is Captain Marvel, at a certain point in time, she actually becomes a whole separate character in her story arc, and she becomes a character called Binary.
Yeah.
Now, Binary is essentially a character who can harness the energy of a white hole, which is totally theoretical. Not a black hole, a white hole. Whereas a black hole sucks in every single piece of matter and energy, a white hole expels the energy. Kind of like, Webb after Taco Bell. So you take a look at...
Wow. Wow.
You take a look at that character, and there's a little... I want to say there's a little hint of it at the very end of the trailer as you see her in her full regalia. You see her in the red, blue, and gold suit, and you see her beginning to just emanate like this energy. I want to say that they're going to hint at her becoming Binary, but Binary in this aspect is kind of similar to how Jean Grey turns into the Phoenix Force. Now, it's not a totally different entity that's a galactic entity. This is just a whole different persona of hers that takes over. So it'll be interesting. So
one thing that I'm very curious for, and probably one of the things I'm most excited about this movie, is I really, really, really want to know how they play her not being present for the past 10 years.
Right.
Like, where was she?
Like, what happens at the end of this movie? Because this movie is in the 90s.
Right.
What happens at the end that she's not around for anything that goes down over the next 20 years?
And that, I think, don't get me wrong. Everything that you guys talked about is great. I'm all for women superheroes. I think it's going to be awesome.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
There's that but.
Mm-hmm.
This is
That's the mansplaining.
What
is,
I'm.
it is.
Oh my God, you guys.
He's going to say, actually.
He's like, actually, I'll tell you what she should be doing is...
Please continue.
I bet she could make a great roast. That's what I'm understanding. Go ahead.
Eddie's never going to be on the show, everybody. He's never going to be on the show again. I am really excited to see how they explain it. Like, what they're... Like, it sounds bad, but I want to know what happens at the end of the movie.
Right, what happens to her?
No, and I
Where does she go?
One of the theories I heard today was that... And it sounds so far-fetched, as weird, is that basically S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to send her through quantum space-time to fight the skrull, and that's why she's not present, because she's going through time fighting all these skrull that have been here and been infiltrating and fighting all the agents in the past before the secret invasion, quote unquote, could happen. And that kind of would maybe explain, because in the trailer you see, I think it's Fury that has the beeper.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and then you see at the end of Infinity War, he pulls out that beeper, but it's heavily modified.
Mm-hmm. Well, so it still fucking works in 2018.
I mean, beepers still work in 2018, but if it has all those modifications, maybe that's how he can communicate with her through
boost the signal a little bit.
Time.
So here's my problem with that theory. The first thing that I see as an issue is that she may be in the... If that's the case, time still continues for the individual. You look at, case in point, Janet Van Dyne.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
She aged
in the quantum realm.
In the quantum realm.
True.
If that was the case, wherever she went to, she should have aged. And I'm not going to assume that they're going to bring a grandma to come back in the follow-up film to fight Thanos.
We're going to put a pin in the grandma.
So...
Ooh, don't do that.
No, that... Webb, come on, man.
Focus.
Pen in... Okay. Mansplaining. So I honestly am adhering to the idea that she is... So, bear with me. I believe she is actually on the other side of the galaxy looking for the other stones. I feel like... So,
Does she not realize that they're...
No. So here's the thing. A lot of people don't know there's actually more than the 5 Infinity Stones that are in the Marvel comics. There's actually 1 or 2 more that are apparently supposed to be more powerful than the ones that are currently on the Gauntlet. Mm-hmm. So, and she does have the quantum bands. Lost Sheep, thank you.
And does Captain Marvel age?
Well, see, that's another thing. She is still part human.
She is part human, but...
How long do Kree live?
Hundreds of years. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure.
Because her DNA is spliced with Kree, so it might just be that she ages slower.
So, if that's the case, then if she was to go through the quantum realm, she may not age as quickly as you would think.
Well, and we know that they're using time travel in the next Avengers movie. We know that.
We know that's a thing, yeah.
Here's another theory. What if, just saying, she's also somewhere frozen?
Another capsicle?
Another capsicle? I mean,
I feel like that would be lazy to rehash that.
True, but I don't know. It's I don't know. Who knows?
Or it would be like frozen, but like not in ice. Not like the same. They're like, it's like space frozen. It's different.
It's space frozen.
She's frozen. There's a word for that. What is it? I can't think of it.
Space frozen?
No, it's not
space frozen.
Space frozen makes it seem like they're making another movie, another Frozen movie, and it takes place in space.
Elsa.
I'd watch
Space
that.
Elsa.
Space Anna.
Space Anna. Space. What's his man's name?
I don't know.
All right.
Space Olaf.
We could. There it is.
Oh, is that who you were talking about?
Olaf. Yeah, the snowman.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about Sven or any of those other people.
The non-snowman characters?
Yeah.
Okay. We could talk about Captain Marvel all night.
Are we going to talk about the pen and the grandma thing?
Oh, yeah. So, Emma, you're famous now. So, I want to appreciate you for being on the show.
I'm just...
Let's talk about the grandma in the trailer. Like, it's knocked the hell out.
Yeah, no, so...
Why is she punching grandmas,
Emma?
Apparently that
was the segue. No, there's that scene in the trailer where she punches an old lady on the subway. And people were like...
No, it's on a bus.
Upset. Was it a bus?
It's a bus.
It was public transit. She punches the grandma on public transit.
Yeah.
People were like confused and upset. Like there was like Twitter was blowing up with like, did Captain Marvel just punch an old lady?
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, I totally get not knowing what a skrull is. I totally get having no comic book knowledge. Totally fine. But do you really think that they're gonna make their superhero punch an octogenarian for no reason?
I would.
Clearly,
I'm just saying.
There is some context here for why it makes sense. But I
could see the headlines. Marvel's first women superhero punches grandma.
Exactly. No. I did tweet out a little meme that I made.
Yes.
I was very excited. It got likes. It did numbers, as the kids say.
As the kids say.
It did numbers.
We're honored to have you still be a part of the show.
Oh, you're lucky. You're lucky.
I know.
She's okay. It's Emma, so I'll give her that.
What else do we have?
I mean, while we're talking about comic movies, we got the good and we got the Joker movie.
Yes,
oh
the
my
Joker
God.
movie.
So this week, new photos came out of Joaquin Phoenix in the Joker movie. And I just got a resounding, what the fuck? What the fuck? I can't, I don't.
Wow.
This is going to be terrible.
Eddie, have you seen any of the images released for the Joker movie?
Oh yeah. I've seen all the images. I've seen the footage. I've seen I've seen artist rendering of what they think he's going to look like. I got an idea of what their premise is looking towards. There's a film done in the late 70s called King of Comedy, starring Robert De Niro. And King of Comedy is a film about a struggling comic who wants to be famous, but he can't. He can't hack it. He can't make it. He ends up trying to impress the club owner of this, comedy club, and the club owner wants nothing to do with it. So he ends up kidnapping him so that he could put him on stage and blah, blah, blah. They're trying to kind of follow that similar format in terms of like how the Joker is going to come about ultimately losing his mind. Yeah.
I mean, it's not far from his actual origin story.
If you take the Killing Joke as the actual origin.
Yeah, that's in the context of saying that that's the truth. Like that's the...
And nobody really knows. So one of the things that...
Because the Killing Joke is not canon.
Right. One of the things that made me like oddly mad, like I was weird about being mad about it, is they gave him a name. I don't know why that pissed me off, but they gave him a name. Even in the Killing Joke, they didn't really give him a name.
No. Well, I believe they mentioned something to that effect, but
I thought he did have a name.
I don't think he does.
I think he might have a first name, but I don't know if he has a first and last name. But I'm
But his name is
95% sure that he has
Arthur Fleck. His name is Arthur Fleck, which is I guess whatever. But no, so they cast Joaquin Phoenix as this. It's going to be an origin story. Why are we having an origin story with somebody as old as Joaquin Phoenix? I don't understand.
That's actually one of the big questions.
Why is he so old? And not that Joaquin Phoenix is like this old man. No, but he's older than a Joker origin. If Joker becomes Joker when he's in his 40s?
Yeah.
What?
No, you're right. They don't actually mention his name.
There's no name
in the Killing Joke. There's no record of a name. They mention his wife's name, but not his name.
Okay, maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
And that's actually one of those things where it's like, you almost want to say, okay, well, maybe they're going to kind of riff on what Marvel is doing and do like some de-aging stuff. But I don't think DC's that smart.
Well, you got to pair it with the fact that they have a Jared Leto Joker. So the established Joker is significantly younger than Joaquin Phoenix.
I think they stated that, or I think the idea was that they're going to use like another parallel universe form of the Joker.
Yeah,
they fucking have to.
There's like 7 already out. Like you got the Cesar Romero, you have I'm losing it. The Heath Ledger, you have Jared Leto, you have Jack Nicholson, you have Mark Hamill, because you have to include Mark Hamill. You have John DiMaggio.
Mm-hmm.
So yes,
you got Troy Baker if you want to throw
Troy
that in
Baker.
there.
Yes, but I think that they're not looking at those. They're looking at
the current universe.
The current universe, which still
Is
to
Jared
Emma's
Leto.
point is Jared Leto, and why you're having an origin story of somebody who's older than the current Joker.
The only thought that I had for why, if they're keeping within the same universe, which whatever, if they're keeping in the same universe and they have somebody who's older, there was a reveal was it last year, where Batman discovers the identity of the Joker, and it's not one person. There's like three different
three
Jokers.
of them. That was after the...
That was in the Snyder run.
Yeah, that was after the God storyline.
And that was
right.
Yeah, that was in the comics when he had the
so he's got the chair that
Yeah.
can like give him any answer that he wants.
Right.
And he asks who the Joker is, and he's told that it's there's 3 different people. The Jokers he's fought over the years are not one person. So if they're gonna go that way and say that Jared Leto is Joker and Joaquin Phoenix is Joker, but they're different Jokers.
If they did that would be awesome.
No.
But there's no
it
build up for that. They're just
Yeah.
gonna throw him in there and be like,
Because-
oh, by the way.
But
Because then
This is a
that's like Justice League all over again. That's like Batman versus Superman, or Superman versus whatever it was called. That's that all over again. They're really jumping the gun without any context, without any foundation.
Exactly.
Like
Okay,
it'd be great,
I get
it'd be
that.
fun in like hindsight, but it's like you got to build to that.
But I feel like it would be one of the few times that DC actually DC movie actually has a comic book basis that's true to the comic book.
But then, are they actually going to stick to that?
I don't know.
See, that's
and
the
that's the thing
problem.
with DC
'Cause then
is
you
we
have
can't
to-
predict it.
Because
No,
then you
they
have
have no
to,
idea what they're doing.
Then you have to explain how Batman knows this. How did he come about getting that knowledge? You'll have to go into the whole God storyline.
Okay,
you'll have to figure all that out. Plus, you'll have to start introducing characters that haven't even been put into the whole fray yet.
Logically speaking, I don't disagree with you, but we're talking about DC
Wait,
movies.
You don't disagree with me. So
Yep.
you agree with me.
Yep.
Okay, just making sure. There was a quicker way.
No, there isn't. In fact, we could have been 10 stories ahead if you
We
didn't
could've.
stop.
But it was just so much fun.
But it's DC that we're talking about. Do they ever do anything that makes total sense?
Yeah, but that's the problem. They got
They're
to
just going
start
to
doing
throw
that.
this in.
Right.
If they do it, they're just going to throw it in.
They
So
have
they're
to
gonna-
start
He
to
does.
sometime soon. I mean, if you're wanting to create a viable franchise, you got to start somewhere. You got to start putting the groundwork into something. I mean,
Well, and that's what fucked them with Justice League, is they were so hell-bent on playing catch-up with Marvel that they didn't give a fuck about establishing a universe. They're just like, let's throw everybody in a movie. And that
Yeah.
was what fucked them.
and it made no sense because it's like, okay, you're going to start introducing this, and that, and then do the origin story like films later. That makes no sense because if you have no
stupid.
foundation of who these people are, why should I care whether or not if they live or die in this battle?
They're relying on hardcore DC fanboys. And they're
I
relying...
am a hardcore DC fangirl, but I have standards for my media.
Okay, so more hardcore than you.
He's
Ones that
mansplaining.
don't
dare
have
you.
a standard.
He's mansplaining.
Ones that
Mansplaining.
don't have a
dare you.
standard.
Ones that don't have a standard.
And...
What does that say for
And-
the whole DC fan base?
I mean,
Take
we're
it as you will.
not stupid. We still enjoy good things. We would like to have DC. I want to like you. This is what we were talking about last week. I want to like you. Why do you make it so hard?
I love DC comics. I read more DC comics than I read Marvel comics. I love the DC TV shows. I mean, they're not the highest point of the epitome of a good TV show, but they're good. I like them better than I do Shield because they do actually have superheroes in them. But when it comes to the movies is when they're constantly failing. Yeah. And they're relying on the people who don't care about that. And they're relying on people who just don't know anything about comics. They know that's Batman. They know that's Superman. And that's awesome. And they want to fight. And they go watch Batman and Superman fight. They don't care
Dude with
why.
the trident. Oh, that's Jason Momoa.
Yeah. Oh, it's Khal Drogo.
Khal Drogo. Yeah.
So, all right. Let's try and pick this up a little
All
bit.
right,
Let's have some happy news.
We'll move away. We'll move away from the comics.
She's
we
like,
have
I'm
an-
struggling to find
We have
something.
another comics TV story, but we'll move away from comics for a minute and talk about some video games.
Oh,
This
there we
is
go.
The video game bang. PlayStation, Sony announced the PlayStation Classic console, much in the same vein as the NES Classic and the SNES Classic, that will come with it's what is it? 45% smaller, so it's a little PlayStation Mini. And it comes with 20 preloaded classic games. And they only announced, I think, 5 so far. Where they say Final Fantasy VII, Jumping Flash, Ridge Racer Type 4, Tekken 3, and Wild Arms are the 5 they've announced
3.
so far.
This is a PlayStation, like the regular PlayStation 1. PS1.
Yeah, PS1. Little classic, little mini.
I was more of a fan of like Tekken 2, but oh well, whatever.
Yeah, of the 5 they announced, none of them really like piqued my interest.
None of them jumped out. I mean, the only one I recognize Tekken, of course, but then the only other one is Final Fantasy.
So my first instinct when I heard this was super excited. I was like, oh, this is great. This is fantastic. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to buy it right away. It's going to be amazing. Nostalgia. Because like PlayStation, the PS1 was a really big one for me.
Okay.
And then I was thinking about the games. I was like, oh, I can play Spyro on him. And I was like, wait, Spyro Remastered is coming out. And then I was like, well, I can play Crash. Oh, I already have the Crash Remastered. So,
There you go.
what do I need this for?
Yeah, I mean, it does seem to be a new thing that game companies are coming out with. They're coming out with mini versions of their classic consoles. We have, like you said, Nintendo already did it twice. Sega did one, or is doing one. Now we have PlayStation.
It's going to be $100, by the way.
Okay, I saw that in chat. What is that compared to, like, the
SNES Classic?
Yeah.
I actually don't know.
Because I feel like that was under $100. I feel like that was like
No.
60.
No, I think it was over.
The
think
Super
really?
Nintendo one, I think it was a little over.
I want to say
Oh.
they were like $120.
Yeah, that's what I want to say. 'Cause
Oh.
I know the original NES
Yeah.
one was like $60-$70.
Yeah, okay, so that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the original
Okay.
one, the mini NES.
What you know what's interesting about
Oh no,
this?
I mean, right now they're selling the SNES Classic for $80.
Oh yeah.
So
Okay.
bad.
Well, there you go. Here's the interesting thing though, is that like it's not a monopoly. Like, they don't have a monopoly on this. There are people who are creating emulators like by the tons now.
Oh yeah.
I have this Kickstarter that happened a couple months back that has like 1,000 games on it, and it has everything from PlayStation, Super Nintendo, Sega, and I got it for like $70-$80. And I have it at home, and it works through an HDMI port. I can set up a Bluetooth remote control to it, and it's better than pretty much everything else that's come out so far. And it's upgradable, like in terms of other games and other emulators that I want to put in there. So I don't know, the hype for what it is. I'm kind of losing interest. In all honesty, like it's great. Like if people are more tied to the whole like, oh, I need to have it. It needs to look like the Super Nintendo. It needs to be this. By all means, I mean, hey, knock yourself out.
Do you think they're saturating the market?
Oh, 100%.
Too many people doing this?
There's too many people that are like super hungry for these. They're like, oh, I got to go and pre-order mine now, and it just announced it this morning.
Right, yeah. I was reading an article earlier today that's like, if you want this, so it comes out December 3rd, just in time for the holidays, and it was saying that if you want this, you should pre-order it right now because the people are already listing them on eBay for massive amounts over the list price because they know that because they got their pre-order in, that they're going to be able to sell it for, 10 times its worth.
Yeah.
Do you see Xbox doing this?
No, and it's funny you should ask because this is a great segue. I don't even think you knew I was going to talk about this.
Nope.
So
that's how good of a team we are.
Xbox, my guys,
see, he's taking your thunder, by the way.
Whatever. They did a little clapback. They got a little sassy on Twitter. So they posted a tweet with a bunch of classic games that says play 500 plus Xbox Classic and Xbox 360 titles on your Xbox One today, completely free.
Oh.
And then they said, psst, some of them are on Xbox One X Enhanced as well.
Oh.
And they were basically like, you don't have to pay money, you don't have to buy a new thing to play your favorite Xbox Classic games. You can just play them on your Xbox that you have right now. I was like, all right, good for you guys. I'll take it. I wish there were more on your list, but I'll take it.
I like how subtle it is, but everybody knows.
It's not subtle at all. Where's the subtlety?
They're not specifically
they just
saying,
didn't tag the PlayStation Twitter.
When it comes to social media, anytime this happens, it's an immediate slap in the face. It is just them coming out and saying, psh. Yeah. So.
And I thought that was great. I really liked that because, like if it had every PlayStation 1 game ever made, that'd be amazing. But it's 20 hand-picked games, and the games I like might not be on that. The games I played might not be on that. Maybe the games that are on that are games that I didn't touch or I weren't my thing. If it was every PlayStation game, that would be awesome. But it's 20 that they're like, these are the ones that sold really well.
Yeah. I mean, like Eddie had talked about this. I have a friend who took a Raspberry Pi and 3D printed a case for it and put an emulator on it and made his own classic console. And he can have as many games as he wants. He can load more on, takes them off. He can do whatever he wants because it's a memory card.
Yeah.
And literally Raspberry Pis nowadays and Arduinos, dime a dozen. You can buy them super cheap and program them for whatever you need.
Yeah.
And all you got to do is, like you said, just find a housing for it and you're good to go. Or don't find a housing and just plug it directly into your TV as is.
Yeah.
You don't... this is just more for fan service and for this super, super niche individuals who want to be on the in with things like this. I'm good. With what I know in terms of technology and, I know enough, I can create one of these easily and just take it home. Or not and spend all that money and hassle of trying to steal it from some old lady and have to punch her on the bus.
Thanks.
I bet that's what the Captain Marvel thing is. I bet it was
That's
Black
probably
Friday.
What it is. Exactly.
It was
No
Black
doubt.
Friday.
Oh yeah.
We just cracked the code.
That's terrible.
So is that a no from both of you?
Yeah,
on this
no,
one?
I'm not buying it.
Yeah, that's
I'm
probably
not
gonna be a
buying
pass on me too.
I mean, I love the NES, and I didn't even buy the NES Classic. It's,
yeah.
Yeah.
I would almost. I was looking at it and I was like, I just like the way it looks. I almost just want a little figure of a PlayStation. I almost just want that, a little statue.
Does it have to work?
No, it doesn't even have to work. I just want to look at it.
Yeah.
Even if the little disc thing popped open, that would be cool. But
That would be cool.
That would be.
That would play Sony, make that. I'll buy that.
And then you pop it open. You could pick what game is in there when you pop it open. Like, you could pop it open and it'd just be Spyro.
Love it.
You use like a little pin like they used to use for the phones to pop up.
Yeah.
This little pin like, shoot, I hit Tekken. Dang it. Okay, hold on.
Oh, man. So, yeah, that was our... So we did talk video games because it's a video game podcast. Now we're going to go back to comic books for a minute. Well, comic shows. So Disney announced... Oh, yeah, I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
So Disney announced some new stuff. So they've got their streaming service, which is coming out someday. And they've announced that the streaming service will run limited series for MCU characters that don't have their own movies yet. So characters that are kind of on the side that they don't necessarily want to throw hundreds of millions of dollars and make a big movie about, but they're going to give them this limited series on the streaming service that are potentially going to be 6 to 8 episodes long and kind of one-off things, it sounds like. So the reports are that the first 2 that they're thinking of doing are Scarlet Witch and Loki.
Yeah. Okay, hang on. So let me rewind for a second. These are 2 separate shows?
Yes.
Oh my god, thank God.
Oh, Scarlet Witch and Loki show?
When I saw the headline on Twitter, I didn't even click on the link because I was like, this is trash.
Oh, no.
Wow.
I thought it was a Scarlet Witch and Loki show. I was like,
oh, no.
Do they fight each other?
It's like...
Do they like pair up for something?
It's like the classic 90s Super Mario Brothers
Oh.
shows. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, what? What is this? Okay, so this makes
2 separate
far
shows.
more sense.
And it's nothing is confirmed. They're saying this is kind of what they're throwing around. So Scarlet Witch, I am so down for. We have not gotten to see nearly enough of her. She is incredible, and I've always been unhappy with the way they've treated her in the MCU. She is so much more powerful than, you know, I have red lights and I can lift things with my mind, is basically what they've given us as Scarlet Witch. So I am really excited for them to explore her. And she's Russian.
Yeah.
Well, not anymore, apparently, because her accent is just gone.
It's true.
From one movie to the next, it just disappeared.
Yeah.
That was weird.
She's
and
fully
I noticed,
assimilated.
Marvel.
She's
I
fully
noticed.
assimilated.
But the Loki one, I'm not here for.
Yeah, you know what? Here's the thing. Number one, if you're going to do something about streaming services, first off, let's work on what we currently have. You got one show that's barely alive on ABC, Disney. You have your Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. You have one that's pretty much dead with Inhumans. I don't think, you know...
Is it pretty much dead?
No,
I think
it's fully canceled.
Gone.
It's done.
Yeah, it's...
No, well, I know, but there was talks about bringing it to the platforms and allowing it to live there. Then you got what's left of your Netflix series with Daredevil, Luke Cage, and... Oh, I'm sorry. Did I strike a nerve?
I love those.
Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that.
No, hang on.
I love those.
Because there's news. There's more
Yeah.
news about that, but I don't know if it's in the notes, but we'll let you finish.
Continue.
Well, here's the thing. I'm all great. I'm all, like, savvy and whatnot for them wanting to create new shows, but I would like to see them first make sure what they currently have is solidly founded. Like, they're creating series. It's like, okay, I'm going to give Webb all this information, all this knowledge, and then I'm going to let you go and do what you're going to do and hope that you're still successful like years down the road after just that one instance. Mm-hmm. I want to see a continual investment into these characters, into this storyline, and I want to see them actually begin to integrate what's the bigger picture? What's the vision? What's the direction here for these series? Are they just going to live in limbo on Netflix for God knows how long? Is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. just literally going to stay in that limbo mindset on ABC? Because it sure hasn't gone anywhere in my mind. I want to see them, before they start doing all that, go to where they need to be and build those first. That's my opinion.
That's fair.
I mean, it's great and all. I mean, who doesn't want to see a Loki TV series?
I don't. I don't want to see a Loki TV show. See, here's what bothers me about Loki. So I think it's worth noting, before I rant, they did mention that if this were the case, Elizabeth Olsen and Tom Hiddleston would be reprising their roles. So it's the characters that we know.
That at least there's that.
Right. So Elizabeth Olsen, totally, like, again, we have not seen enough of her. But Loki, what have we not done with Loki? He's been the bad guy. He's been the good guy. He's been the funny guy. He's what we're done. We're done. Now he's the dead guy. Oh, yeah. He was the dead guy, and then he came back again, and now he's dead again. Stay dead. We're done. We're done. I love Tom Hiddleston. I liked what they did with the character, but you cannot keep rehashing the same character over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Just leave it. He has had his time. Do not, like, if you wanted to do a young Loki show, I'd be down for that. if you want to do like the various forms that he takes over the years, that would be really cool. There's a lot to explore there. Young Avengers. There's a lot to explore there. But if you're doing another show that's just Tom Hiddleston's Loki, what do we want?
Well, and where do you go with that? I mean, what's that supposed to be about? Is that supposed to be like when he becomes, Odin and takes over Asgard while Thor is on his trips, or is this like right?
So the brief time in between Thor 2 and Thor 3?
Because there's that point, and then the only thing ahead of that is when he was a young whiny teenager.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, who cares?
Yeah.
We don't need more young whiny teenagers.
I don't know. I just don't care. And I know I'm praying. I am hoping and praying that they keep him dead in the next Avengers movie, but I'm sure they're gonna bring him back. People, the fans love him. Everybody, oh my God, Loki! Freaking space Hitler.
Freaking space. One thing that I wanted to talk about, I don't know if it's in the notes or not, is the Defenders are not coming back.
Well, I mean, we kind of already knew that. That wasn't really news. So the news was that, what did you see?
I just saw that they changed their Twitter, and Instagram, something to like NX.
Yeah. So they changed the Facebook page to just NX.
Yeah.
And they changed the Twitter to NX on Netflix. And NX is basically what they're calling Netflix's superhero sci-fi genre.
Okay, so that's what I didn't know.
Yeah, they're taking the Defenders page and they're rebranding it as Netflix's sci-fi stuff. But we were already, like, they said when they did the Defenders that it was a one-off. There were no plans to do another one. I wasn't aware of that. Yeah, no, there were never any plans to do another one. The various, I think, Jessica Jones, Kristen Ritter talked about it at one point. A couple of the actors talked about, like, this was really fun and I would be up for it again, but at this point I don't think there are any plans to.
No.
So it wasn't really news that they aren't going to do it, but it did catch people off guard that they took the pages for it and completely rebranded them.
That is odd that they didn't just make new pages.
Yeah. And I mean, it makes sense to a point because those pages have a viable follower source.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
And it's like, we could leave this page dead because we're never going to use it again, or we can take the millions of people that have already liked this page and rebrand it to this thing that we don't have to build from scratch anymore.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, in terms of business and in terms of like social media, yeah, if you own the page and you have already the eyes and you're not looking to further a particular franchise or brand, by all means, repurpose, that's fine. But at least give some type of forewarning in terms of like the transition, because it's not like you're just flipping a switch and you're like, oh, and now we're turning off this page. Okay, good. Everybody good? Everybody good? Okay, cool.
Everybody good? Yep.
Like,
okay.
There are people who are invested into this page. There's people that are invested into this particular franchise, this team dynamic, because let's be honest, it's the only team dynamic that's not on the big screen that people are actually interested in. So
solid shot there at the CW.
Yes.
Dang.
It's just one of those things where it's like you have to take more care into an already fragile fan base, because although the big screen films are doing exponentially well, the problem is that everything on TV and streaming is not.
And that's where I think as crappy as the DC TV shows can be, I do think that DC has Marvel beat in the TV realm. Right now.
I think they have them beat on network TV.
Network TV.
But I think the Netflix series is
if you include the Netflix, then they
still outshine.
You still have Hulu as well.
Hulu.
Cloak and Dagger.
The Runaways. Well, Cloak and Dagger is a freeform show.
That's freeform. That's right. Yeah. No, you're right.
Although
Runaways.
we talked about it when it happened, but they went after the last episode of Cloak and Dagger on freeform, they aired the first episode of the Runaways. So clearly there's some sort of partnership going on there with those two, and I'm like, give me a crossover. Give me a Cloak and Dagger Runaways crossover.
All right, everybody. Well, if you hear that music in the background, you know that it's wrapping up. We had one more story about EA, but we're going to have to cut you guys. We'll get you guys next time.
Next time, EA.
Eddie, why don't you tell us where everybody can find you?
You can check us out at the Filmlosophers.com, which leads you to the VGB website, and you can catch all 131 episodes where we just recently talked about a back-to-back End of the World double feature this past week. You can catch all our great episodes there. You can catch us on socials at Filmlosophers on Facebook or Filmlosophy 101 on Twitter. And I am on Twitter at AnticFire or on Facebook at AnticFire04.
Emma. What's the rest of your streaming schedule look like this week?
Well, I was supposed to play Tomb Raider tomorrow, but I finished it, so I'm not gonna do that. Tomorrow will probably be creative, and we were supposed to do Sea of Thieves on Friday, but we're not gonna do that anymore.
Yeah.
So probably creative. I'm gearing up for New York Comic Con. I just started my new cosplay today.
Nice.
I'm doing Bean from Disenchantment.
Nice.
I'm hype. It's gonna be so comfortable.
All right, everybody, well, that is our show. Make sure to subscribe on all the various platforms where you get your podcasts, and check out twitch.tv/videogame_bang to catch the show live. I am the real David Webb for Eddie Villanueva, EmmaSkies. See you guys next time.
Peace.